a bit, you know, on in a comfort zone because COVID-19 looked to be so much affecting the older people. But the ball has turned around, and we can see that COVID-19 right now is even affecting young people. Young people are dying. Young people are getting infected. And the myth that we used to have, that we have a strong immune system, really needs to be rethought. You can fall sick and you can die of this disease. So today on the show, we'll be talking about how to understand and getting information about this disease and how we can be able to protect ourselves as young people. How can you be able to treat yourself in case you fall sick? But again, focusing on prevention. What do we need? What are the SOPs that you need to follow to be able to survive and not be part of the statistics of the people who are infected with COVID-19. Now on the show today, we'll be talking to officials from the Ministry of Health. And first we'll be talking to the Senior Public Relations Officer, Mr. Inebiona. He'll be telling us about this second wave of COVID-19. What has changed? Why is it now affecting the young people more than it was in the first wave that we had? So he'll be telling us all about that and how we can be able to prevent ourselves and keep safe. And the fact that he's one of the people who are affected and he fell victim of the disease, who'll be telling us how you can be able to treat yourself and take yourself in case you get the disease. Let's listen in to him and we'll be right back.
Youth of Purpose.
Youth of Purpose, previously you were very comfortable thinking that COVID only affects the old. Sorry to say, our grandfathers and people who have really grown so old. But surprisingly, right now, COVID is so much affecting even the young. Is this a new COVID, or has our immune system that we're boosting off gone low? Today, we're going to be looking at what has happened and what is the Ministry of Health doing to make sure that you get to know why COVID is affecting the young people and how you can be able to prevent yourself from being a victim. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to the show. This is Youth of Purpose.
Thank you very much, and thank you for Youth of Purpose.
Thank you. So previously we were boasting as young people of not being affected by COVID, thinking we have a very strong immune system. But surprisingly, things have turned around. What has gone wrong? Do we have a new COVID right now?
It is also, I would like to say that it is very wrong that youth were boasting that COVID does not affect them, because any viral infection can affect everyone. It's only that they were seeing lower numbers of infections among the young people. But even in the first wave last year, we had cases of young people, including babies.
Yeah.
However, what has changed now in the second wave during this year, 2021, is that more and more young people are getting affected. And some are getting into severe and having critical conditions arising from COVID-19. Some have gone even up to ICU. So this is a wake-up call that the young people, the youth out there, need to be conscious about COVID-19. It is real and it kills. It's claiming largely a bigger population of our parents, of our grandparents and other elderly people. But even the young of my age are also succumbing to COVID.
Yeah.
So it is a dangerous disease that we need to be vigilant of and do whatever we can as youth to protect ourselves and also protect our families. We recently had young children who were in schools return home. A number of them returned while they were positive of COVID. And some are believed to have affected their parents. So let's be cognizant that this disease affects everyone of any color, of any race, and of any age group. So we need to wear our masks while at home and while out of our homes. we need to ensure that we wash hands regularly. As you, and even when you're touching surfaces after visiting a toilet, this one will also help us to prevent other diarrheal diseases. But most important, the fight we are on now is the COVID-19 pandemic. So every youth out there, this disease is real. So you don't want to have your youthful age cut short by this pandemic. Do whatever you can because the future awaits you.
So what has changed? Have we become so careless right now like we weren't before? Or it's because of maybe the other variants of COVID that have come into Uganda?
Yes, I would like to begin with the statement that you began with, that youth used to boast that they are not affected. And that one culminated into complacency, not minding to follow the preventive measures. And as such, it has largely contributed to the numbers that have grown for new infection among the young age groups. However, we also unfortunately had some variant strains of COVID get into our country through travelers. So maybe also is something epidemiologists are studying to know whether it could be a factor that has influenced this wave. So we need to be extra vigilant, extra careful, and adhere to the various standard operating procedures. You don't need to go visit your friends. You can use gadgets. There is Zoom, there is WhatsApp. You can video call your friends, talk to your friends. You don't need to go and attend birthday parties. You don't need to go and sneak into the places that have been closed, like bars, cinemas, and also just moving when you're not moving with purpose. So we need to ensure that we stay home, we stay safe, and we keep alive.
So what is the Ministry of Health doing right now to make sure that they do sensitize the young people about this wave and how so many of us really are getting infected? And the fact that you were once a victim of this disease, maybe you could take us through an experience, someone to be able to understand how really COVID can affect you, not only when you're sick, but also the after effects of having this disease.
Of course, with COVID, your life will never be the same again. I am still in the process of recovering my breathing, chest, sleeping posture. So you don't want to be there. I was tested positive. I tested positive in October last year. So I'm about to make I've made half a year. But I thank God for having made me go through it. But it might not be, my story might not be your story. That's, as a young person out there, you don't want to be a victim of this COVID. And as a ministry, we are doing whatever we can to ensure that we package even messages through animations that strictly target young people. We are using young people to also communicate this message through the various mass media channels. There is one message I saw that was done by a VJ, which is like a narration of a movie.
True.
So we are using all the communication techniques that appeal to the young people, and our hope is that this will influence their behavior such that they are able to protect themselves from COVID-19.
You know, the fact that we're putting on masks, people don't know the person they're talking to, and you're talking to a person with authority. Kindly introduce yourself to the Youth of Purpose.
Yes, I'm called Emmanuel Legiona, and I work as a Senior Public Relations Officer at the Ministry, or the Ministry of Health spokesperson.
So, Ineviona, what message do you have, lastly, to the young people out there? Just sum it up.
Yes, my core message to the young people is that they need to adhere to the preventive measures. Wash your hands regularly. Give yourself a social distance when you're with your colleagues. Wear your mask, hand washing, avoid crowded places, stay home, stay safe. Because there are no schools, there are no places of worship, there are no recreation centers. So once everyone stays within their home state for this period of 42 days, we hope we shall be able to identify those ones who are sick and also ensure that those ones who are not yet sick or infected remain safe. And this will help us to disrupt transmission among all age groups.
And then about self-prescription, because right now everyone has become a doctor. You find prescriptions on social media, what you're supposed to talk about the steaming, taking herbs and all that.
Steaming is not, does not treat COVID, and even WHO came out to point to that. We need to avoid self-medication because it results into antimicrobial resistance or resistance to antibiotics. If you buy several antibiotics off the counter, it might likely result to you in future when you have another infection. Once these drugs are given to you, they might not work to treat your condition. So let's follow all these doctors' advice. Let's consult a qualified doctor as and when we are faced with any infection. Thank you.
Thank you. You've heard it from the horse's mouth. I will not repeat that, but I can assure you that you don't want to be a victim.
Youth of Purpose.
So you've heard it right, that you might have thought you have a strong immune system that can help you, not to get COVID-19, but that's a myth. You can still fall sick, and like Mr. Ineviona has told you, you don't want that to happen to you. Follow the SOPs, like he's told you. That's by, putting on your mask, avoiding overcrowded places, washing your hands, sanitizing, stop unnecessary visits. In fact, you shouldn't be doing any visits at this time to your friends, to your relatives. This time is for you to isolate, keep at your home and keep safe. Now we're going to be talking to the Assistant Commissioner, Health Services Nursing, who is also an expert in sexual reproductive health and gender-based violence. She's going to be aiding us in a discussion how we can be able to keep healthy and, overcome the challenges that we are facing as young people. Talk about early pregnancies, talk about all our sexually transmitted diseases and other effects of COVID-19 that we are not used to, and she'll be letting us know how we can be able to maneuver all that. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Kindly introduce yourself to the viewer.
Thank you, viewers and listeners. I would like to thank UBC for this opportunity, so as to share our experience as well as information with the young people. We're all aware that Uganda has the youngest population, with the 77%
Yeah, sure.
who are under the age of 25 years.
True.
And this can be potential to increase productivity,
Oh, yeah.
as well as also basis for socio-economic. Nevertheless, this comes with a lot of costs. As young people between that age up to 25 years are very, very active people. And this activeness is translated into also their sexual reproductive health aspects. And this also causes risks, because this is an age where they want to explore and know so many things. And due to limited knowledge and also lack of information, especially in the area of their sexual reproductive health, many of the young people are now seen with high prevalences with teenage pregnancies, early indulgence in sexual activities while they are not ready to face the consequences and the impact of pregnancies. We also see at least 25% of the young girls, 1 out of 4 teenage get pregnant. Not only that, these teenage pregnancies are not pregnancies which they have planned for. So they end up with unwanted pregnancy. And because they are not able to bear the cost of being pregnancy, many of them tempt to go for criminal abortions. And this, in most cases, takes their lives, which is very, very painful to us as parents.
Yes.
And in our review of statistics, 17% of the maternal deaths are contributed by teenagers.
Wow.
And especially the adolescents between that age of 14 up to 19 years, which is very, very painful. Not only that, because of their sexuality activeness and knowledge deficit, we have ways of how to prevent unwanted pregnancy. But you find even the condom use is very, very low among the young people, yet they are the most active people sexually. And this also resent them into high increase of HIV prevalence among the young people.
So to relate this to COVID-19 and the lockdown, the annual criminal report of police 2020, we saw that, domestic violence increased by 29%. What brings about that?
Yeah, thank you so much. As I said, I believe all of us should know that in every home, if you count people, the majority in every home state is the young people. So when we came up as a country with the lockdown, even from the first lockdown and even now, meaning that in every home, these young people who are very active are redundant at home.
Yes, yes.
And in this redundancy, because they are not occupied, many of them take advantage of them and they become vulnerable, especially the young girl child. And gender-based violence has really hiked so much up. Not only sexual gender-based violence, but also physical. And you find many of these youth become the bread earners for some of the households. And you find the young girls are involved in prostitution. Even the younger adolescents are in other petty jobs, like child labor, so as to be able, because the pressure has become so much to the households and they are not able to keep it, so they now tend to misuse, I call it misuse, of these young people. Nevertheless, it's our responsibility as a country, as families, as communities, to take seriously how to protect our young people, because these are the generation for tomorrow.
Yes.
All these national plans, the socio-economic transformation of this country can never realize its potential if we don't protect our youth. With the COVID, there is no age limit. And as we said, it's not by coincidence that we see now the young people are more affected because they are more in number. So meaning that we should also focus on them, and they should also listen and know that this COVID can be prevented if you can keep social distancing, if you can always wash your hands, if you can be able to avoid crowds, because also people, young people always like socialization. But for these few days where there's lockdown, can you remain in your homes? Can you remain practicing this the soaps which are effective to reduce the infection of COVID-19? Because the more youth we have at homes, if they're infected, they infect more of the adults, and the adults are more prone. So we end up losing. Right now, so many parents in homes are very ill, others have died because the youth are not really adhering to the standard operating procedures. So my dear youth, we all need to be alive. You need continuity of your life. If your parents and elders are also there, we cherish in you, we invest in you, but let's be very cooperative. Let's work in collaboration so that we are able to reduce the infections among us, not only you, youth, young people, but also across all different age groups.
Okay. So, Mama, in the same annual criminal report of Police 2020, we had, defilement cases rise by 3.8%. But that's not only that. I wanted to see this clearly. Amongst those victims that were, affected, we had children of ages 0 to 8 years. We had over 1,280 children being defiled. That is 0 to 8 years. We had 2,986 children being affected. That's between the ages of 9 to 14. We had 9,954 children between ages of 15 to 17. And we also had only adults, that's above 17 years, there were 10 being defiled. But to make it worse, we had 301 of those victims being defiled by persons who are HIV positive. We had 120 defiled by their guardians, the people who are taking care of them. We had 120 being defiled by their parents, and we had 52 pupils being defiled by their teachers. We also had 55 students being defiled by their teachers, as we also had 125 children, disabled children, being defiled. What kind of picture does that paint?
Yeah, it's a very, very sad, very painful.
Yes.
Because these defiled girls or children are all our children, and they're Ugandan. And they have the right to live in Uganda and be healthy and live a very, very normal life like any other person. Nevertheless, gender-based violence, especially sexual gender-based violence, is always being acted by someone who is close to the victim.
The trusted people.
Trusted people, like parents,
yes,
like guardians, like siblings. Many times strangers can come in, but very, very few. So fighting this sexual gender-based violence is not one person's time to take off. It is collaborative effort. I would urge, as Minister of Health, we already have systems in place, and we urge all of you, including the young people, can we come up? In case of any of these sexual gender-based violence, can you report to the nearest facility so that we are able to give you what we call emergency care?
Okay.
Because we don't want someone who is raped against her or his will to get infected with HIV, which will be permanent and you live with it forever.
Yes.
So please, in case of any sexual gender-based violence, report to any facility. We have trained health workers who can be able to give you emergency care. Not only that, I will also urge other sectors like the police.
Yes.
By this time, we should be all work in collaboration, be vigilant.
Sure.
To be able to take this kind of cases quickly and address it appropriately to give the survivors an ample time to survive and as well to cope with the psychosocial aspect. Once you are ripped of your health, you are ripped of your future. Because without being healthy, you cannot be able to transform. Because our future lies in the majority of the population who are the youth. So let's work together. Let's see how best we can be able to protect the most vulnerable people in our society and even within our home states.
We saw a number of young girls, getting pregnant in the first wave of COVID-19, in the first lockdown. But also we've been seeing these young girls being married off. And the fact that now girls are going to be seated home for almost 2 years Some parents back in the villages will look at their young girls as if they are growing old, and they usually marry them off. Speak to the parents.
So my dear parents, I repeat, if you have not been aware, take it from today, that this population whom we are looking in our homes, these young people, are the generation of tomorrow. Can we give them the ample support so that tomorrow they are able to carry Uganda forward and be able to keep us as we age and take forward the agenda of what we have for this country? Let's not embark in activities which can make them stop being able to achieve their dream, because without their dreams, Uganda will not stand as firm. Mind you, we live today, but tomorrow will be in the hands of these young people. And our agenda should always be to empower them, to show them the way, and also guide them how successful they should lead this country by us bringing them up in a manner that they respect each other, they love the country Uganda, and they're able, ready to serve Uganda at all means, at all costs. So let's protect our children as they are here with us right now during this COVID lockdown. Let's not be the ones to really close their future. Let's not be the ones to sexually assault them, physically, emotionally, psychologically, because all this will affect their productivity in the future and even in for now. So I also once again want to thank our government, because when this COVID happened and many girls got pregnant, we had a very quick shift to put in guidelines how these pregnant girls can continue with their education. And I think that that's really a very good action to really support these young girls. And as parents, now it is our role also. How do we support them to continue with their education? The fact that they conceived during this period and have given birth, so that we are able to continue the cycle of putting Uganda as first at our heart, and to see that we have people who will be able to lead our country tomorrow.
Yes, Madam Agnes is the Assistant Commissioner, Health Services, Nursing, Ministry of Health, and she's also an expert in sexual reproductive health and also gender-based violence. I hope she's been able to elaborate as clear as she was for you to be able to understand some of the reproductive health challenges that you face as a young person, but also as parents. You see your role, how you should be able to protect your children during this lockdown. Now, protecting yourself and your loved ones, the family members and the people that do surround you, is a patriotic role. It's your individual patriotic role to protect yourself, one, to be able, because you'll not be able to to contribute to your country's development if you're sick, or even when you're dead. You are capital to this country, and therefore we do need you. So follow the SOPs and keep yourself safe. This show is proudly brought to you by the National Secretariat for Patriotism, Core Office of the President. I want to thank the PS at President's Office, Mr. Eunice Kakande. Thank you so much for believing in us and supporting this program. Thank you, Commissioner Brigadier Patrick Mwesje. Thank you so much for believing in Youth of Purpose and sponsoring this show. But again, I want to thank the Ministry of Health for the good work that you're doing, making sure that information is gotten by the young people on how they can prevent themselves, and for those ones who are sick also on how they should go to treat themselves. That's not self-medication or self-prescription of drugs, but you know what you're supposed to do to go to to the hospital and be able to get the treatment and get healed, and also to isolate yourself in case you have any signs like those ones of the COVID-19 patients. I thank you so much. My name is Ivan Tumukunde, and thank you for watching Youth of Purpose. See you next time.
Youth of Purpose, brought to you by